Hey everybody, this is Cam from Spock Sanctuary, and in the video we're going to be watching Cole today. Now, we have here a reptile habitats enclosure, which is one you can purchase from dubia.com. We're very excited about this because they just recently updated the model of enclosures, and so this is a new model. The corners are a little bit sturdier, and the door is actually made out of glass instead of plexi, which is really easy to smudge and scratch. And it has a built-in lock, which is lots of fun. Now, for today, this is in specifics a 2 foot by 2 foot floor space by 4 foot tall enclosure. And we actually purchased this for a new resident of the sanctuary, and we wanted to build an enclosure that we thought she would absolutely love. Now, Cole gets really excited about being able to do really cool design projects with this stuff, and so I kind of let him take the lead on it, and so he did almost the entire thing start to finish without any help. And I think it turned out wonderfully. And if you guys want to follow along and watch, then we can kind of see what that journey looks like, at least for the most part. Now, for the next 18 minutes, Cole is going to be unboxing this enclosure and getting all of the extra films off of the plexi that kind of comes along with the shipping process, just to make sure that they're not scratched and everything comes out looking absolutely pristine. He's going to put all the pieces into their designated locations in the corners and make sure everything is standing and sturdy. He's got that nice little mallet that comes with the delivery to make sure everything fits perfect. And now that he's getting all of those put together, here's a final look at that entire enclosure. I think it's absolutely wonderful. And now Cole is going to go in and lay a line of silicone around each of the edges at the bottom. And then he's going to go in and kind of smudge it out so that way you can't exactly tell where the silicone starts and where it ends. And this all makes that bottom layer a little bit better at waterproofing, so that way when we go to mist the resident who lives inside of this enclosure, we don't have to worry about water leaking out around the edges, especially because this resident is going to be tropical. We want to make sure that it is extra prepared for them. After this, Cole lays down the enclosure, and we're going to actually add some more silicone all over the backing here, and really smudge it in all over the place. Now, we didn't actually record the whole process this time around, but here's what that looks like all together. And this is going to create a nice grippy surface for the next step of the backing. My favorite part is this right here. This is the spray foam. Now, we could use the cheap yellow spray foam. We have done that before in other enclosure builds. In this particular one, we wanted to make sure that it was done really, really well. Now, with that yellow, more affordable spray foam, sometimes when that gets wet, it'll actually release off of the back of the enclosure, and we really didn't want to risk that. And also with the backing, the next layer of the backing, if we had any spots missing, we wanted to make sure that that wasn't super blaringly obvious. Now, it did take us a little bit to figure out how to use this particular spray foam. This is the Black Pond Liner spray foam, but it's got like an easy squeeze tip on it, and here we are struggling with it just because you have to hold it just right to get it to actually come out the way it should, instead of in this really skinny stream like what the majority of our starting spray foam actually looked like. But once we get it going, it goes all right. Now, if the spray foam is done correctly, it should expand with time as you go, so it does not have to actually fill in the whole surface. If you do fill in the whole surface, then that's just a little bit more carving to do to get it to the right shape in one of your later steps, but we get it all filled in appropriately. And then we get to start laying in some of that hardscape. So we actually planned the hardscape out way in advance of actually starting any of the backing to make sure that it would fit the way that we wanted it to, and we could get a real nice feel for how everything would actually come together towards the end of it there. The hardscape that's actually getting put into the backing is probably the easiest thing to actually plan, because we could just lay it on the ground and really see it there. But everything else was kind of a guesswork for how exactly it would fit. These are some plant pots that we wanted to put in, so we knew exactly where the greenery would fit when we get to that point. And so he's going to go around with some more spray foam to make sure that it really fills in all the gaps. We don't, lose our resident somewhere behind one of the plant pots. And he's going to tuck those into the little cavities that we have already decided would be the perfect fit for it. like I said, we wanted to make sure that the greenery had really nice spots to already go that were planned out. And as he goes in and fills things a little bit more, this is just going to help make sure that the spots that we want it to be filled in extra actually do expand enough to kind of get that effect out of it. And now that the wooden hardscape and the plant pots are all established, we are actually throwing in some ledges for perching on for this future resident. These are actually made out of scraps of reused styrofoam, reduce, reuse, recycle, right? So he is stuffing some styrofoam in various places to make everything fit real nice, and he's actually going to go in with a little bit of spray foam to help round out that shape a little bit better to kind of hit the vision that we were going for. Now with these styrofoam ledges, we weren't able to get kind of the desired shape out of just a single sheet of styrofoam, and so there are some stacked pieces in order to really create the shape that we were going for. And he did carve those down in order to get the real good aesthetic for what we wanted, and some spray foam in between to make sure that they held real nice against each other and they're not going to fall apart. And then the next step, we did actually forget to record, but what we're going to do is let this spray foam all cure, and then go in and actually carve everything out to kind of create the shape that we like, make it look as natural as we feel is necessary. And then he's actually going to go back over everything with some Gorilla Glue, and he covers absolutely the entire thing everywhere that we want some substrate to be sticking. And then he's going to start coating this in some substrates just like so. And as he coats it in substrates, then you have to go back every like 5 minutes for the first hour just to push everything down, really press it into the glue, because that glue, Gorilla Glue specifically, expands as it's drying. And by keeping everything compressed every 5 minutes, that allows the substrate to adhere fully to the spray foam background without actually growing beyond the shape that you had just put so much work into carving out. And now it's time to get to bring the whole enclosure to life. So we're going to start off with some clay balls to create a buffer. This is the drainage layer where water can be stored so that it's not soaking into the roots of the plants in the basin. And that way the plants have a better chance at survival. And once he has this layer of the clay balls put in, he's going to do that square of window screen that we can see. So he's going to put that over top of the clay balls. And now we have a strong definition between where the dirt is and the plant roots will exist, as opposed to where like extra water in the basin of it will be kind of away from the plant roots, so that way they're not getting damaged and experiencing root rot. Now, next step is going to be the soil. So Cole is filling in the substrate here. We've got eco earth, some sphagnum moss, play sand, and organic potting soil mixed in together to create kind of the blend that we were hoping to maintain humidity at the right level. And now we get to go in with the hardscape, and so he's got some really beautiful driftwood that we found and heat treated. And then this next piece, he doesn't hype this up enough, but it's a cork round that he actually carved a chunk of it out of. So it's like a 75% of the round and a 25%. And then there's a hinge so that we can actually open it up to get the resident of this enclosure out when she gets herself all wedged up inside, if we need to interact with her or be able to work with her for something. Then next step is putting in the plants, and so this is a very gorgeous monstera, and he's making sure to spread out the roots so that they're not all bundled into one singular spot. And then we've got another piece of driftwood to help just kind of create the fill in the bottom there. And finally, we sprinkled in some that's spider plants, and I believe Wandering Dude is what he's got in the pots that are established in the back. He's giving these plants now their first water in their new home, and we actually left this to sit for about 2 weeks just to make sure there wasn't any fertilizers that were leaching out of the plants, and that it was ready for the resident, who I am so excited to introduce to you. But this is our Leachianus gecko, and her name is Mold, because she kind of looks like a moldy croissant, as we joke. But compared to other lychees, she is such a big sweetheart, and she has been such an absolute joy to have at the sanctuary. And I'm so excited to have her living it up in this wonderful new enclosure that Cole helped us put together for the sanctuary. Um, there she goes. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, give us some comments about how you might have done things a little bit differently. And if you'd like to see any more of Mold living it up in her new home, please follow along to see some updates. I hope everybody enjoyed and have a wonderful rest of your day.